I'd like to welcome our first presenters. So we've got Regan from the Student Union and Belito, who's the Student Communities Development Coordinator with us. And they're going to be talking to you today about how you can make the most out of your time at university with Middlesex Student Union to help you enrich your identity. So if you do have any questions during the talk, feel free to ask in the chat function or raise your hand. If you're brave enough to come on camera, then we'd love to see you as well. So without further ado, Regan, Belito, over to you.
Thank you so much, Kira. Really nice to see everybody here today. Nice to see that everyone's come on for this afternoon. 57 people, we love to see it. So my name is Belito, and as Kira says, I'm the Student Community Development Coordinator at the SU. I'm a full-time member of staff. I'm not a student, and I'll talk a little bit more about what my role means in a minute, but I'll let Regan introduce herself too.
Yes, hello everyone, my name is Regan. So my role is Student Groups Coordinator at MDXSU, and it's my job to look after our societies and also our liberation groups as well. So yeah, we'll be chatting a little bit about what our liberation groups and our communities mean about your identity and celebrating it at Middlesex.
Exactly. Hang on a minute. Oh, here we go.
Lovely. So as I mentioned, my role is to look after all of our societies, of which we have like international and cultural societies, some religious societies, and campaigning societies, general interest, and there are over 80 different student groups that you can get involved in. But today we're going to be talking about our liberation groups. So we have 4 liberation groups at MDXSU. And they are Black Students Liberation Group, LGBTQ+, disabled students, and we have one for women students as well. So our liberation groups are support networks for students who face discrimination or underrepresentation in their day-to-day lives. So they meet regularly, they share experiences and common struggles that they face. They like to socialise and support each other and create these kind of social supportive networks together, and they also like to plan lots of campaigns and educational workshops as well. So you'll see to the right of that image there that there are a couple of different campaigns that they've been working on over the past year. So things like Black Lives Matter, breaking down misconceptions about the LGBTQ+ community. We have our disabled liberation group there working on a stall about accessibility around the university. University. And we also have one from our women's liberation group as well, who have managed to get free periods on campus or free sanitary products, and do lots of things around empowering each other as well. So all of our liberation groups are led by students who identify into those liberation groups. And we'll pop through the next slide just to talk a little bit about each one. So for MDXSU Black students, this is a group for people of African, Arab, Asian and Caribbean heritage, and they represent them, make changes for them, make sure that they are represented in their curriculums and at the university in extracurricular activities as well. The next one is LGBTQ+ students. So that's anyone who self-identifies into that community. And this is a space for people to meet other people and to share their experiences and to create change on campus. Often our group will go to the Pride March in London when it's COVID safe as well. We have MDXSU disabled students. So this defends the rights of disabled students and people with learning difficulties as well. So anyone who self-identifies as having a disability, including specific learning difficulties such as dyslexia, dyspraxia, or students with long-term health conditions as well, are welcome to join this group. And then last but not least, we have MDXSU women students. So anyone who self-identifies as a woman can join this group and help to shape the work that they do. So just for a bit of a read of the room, it would be super duper helpful for us to know who's with us today. So it would be great if you can use the little reactions button in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. It looks like a smiley face with a little plus next to it. And if you identify with MDXSU Black students, give us a little reaction. So it can be anything you want, a thumbs up, a clap, a little cheers or a heart.
Party thing, yeah.
Anything you fancy. Just to get a bit of a read for the room, who identifies with MDXSU Black students? Great, I can see you all flashing up there. Lovely to see you today. Anyone identify with MDXSU disabled students? People with disabilities, any learning difficulties? We're really here to celebrate those different identities today. Anyone here that identifies with MDXSU women students? And anyone who identifies with MDXSU LGBTQ+ students as well. Thank you so much for sharing your identities with us today. It's super great to see you all here. And I hope that in the future you can get involved with lots of the campaigns and the socials that these groups do. And you can find out how to do that in just a moment. But over to you, Belito.
Thank you. So as Regan said, representation is super important for us on the student union. And we not only have liberation groups that, you know, are centered around particular like facets of your identity and your experiences, but we also have groups that are people who have like different things going on in their lives, which they can kind of share with other people. And so we're well aware that a lot of our students, we have a very diverse student population. We have a lot of international students, postgrad students who are mature students, so they're over 21 doing a BA or over 25 doing a postgrad. There's so many different types of students. We want to make sure that there are specific platforms for those students to use, to talk to each other, to meet each other, and to advocate for themselves in university spaces. So we're all about making sure that there's spaces for people to kind of unite together, because some of these things, for example, you know, if you are a student parent, it can be difficult to find other people on the course, especially if you don't spend so much time on campus. And that can be quite difficult when, you know, you feel like no one else really shares your experience. So we want to make it so that you can use these social media platforms that I'll go into a minute to find other people who share your experiences and work closely with them together so that you can kind of share your experiences with other students so they understand you better and so the university understands you better too. So we're all kind of online. We have a Facebook group for each community, and the community you can see down the bottom. So international students, parents and carers, postgrad students, healthcare students, so that's anybody doing nursing or midwifery, commuter students, mature students, and Erasmus and exchange students. And for Erasmus and exchange students, that's students who are both on their exchange year in the UK or who are going on an exchange year or placement somewhere else in the world, but they're from the UK. So it's for both those different kind of students. So we make sure that you guys stay up to date with all the kind of relevant resources that you might need during a time at Middlesex. So we have connections with the local area, and I send out emails to our kind of group that's online and on Facebook that describe like what those events are so you can get involved, and we also make sure there's lots of networking opportunities for you and research that you can get involved with as well to contribute your experience to the student union. We also want to make sure that there's paid work available for our students, not just our community students, but our students who are in liberation groups and all of our students as well. It's really important to us that students get solid paid safe work with the student union. So I hire an intern or two every year to work with me, and they do research with me. They make sure that they facilitate their own events, and they support me in kind of advocating for those different students. And it's all paid London living wage, so £10.75, and tends to be 7 hours a week. So we like to make sure there's enough employment opportunities for students as well that really harness their skills and get them to really, you know, because obviously like representing a student body, you can do that by being part of our societies, but if you want to kind of do it in a different way by going into research or by thinking about different concepts like that, our internships are quite a good idea, and they're open every year. Just to advertise, they open next month. But yeah, so we try and make sure there's spaces for students to identify in lots of different ways and have very different experiences, and we're all about making sure those students are able to find those platforms and that their platforms are accessible. So back to poll time. Are there any students here who identify as an international student, so a non-UK student or non-home student? Give us a little reaction, hand, a love heart, a little party thing. I can see him. Wonderful, wonderful. Wow, that's quite a lot. And are there any students here who are mature students? So that's students who are over 21 when they're doing the undergraduate course, or over 25 when they're doing their postgraduate course. Nice. Nice. Anyone here studying midwifery or nursing?
Yes, adult nursing.
Adult nursing, wonderful. Nice to meet you. That's
Nice
brilliant.
to meet you.
Anyone here a commuter student? So someone who lives more than 40 minutes away from campus and travels to campus, well, when they can, obviously. There's quite a lot of commuter students at Middlesex. I think a lot of people do travel quite a long way to get to campus. Okay, I'll do one more. Anyone here identify as a student, parent, or a carer? So you've got caring responsibilities or children and are studying. Yeah, quite a lot of people. I think
Yes.
some people, yeah, you are as well.
Yes.
I think a lot of people here sometimes don't think there are other people who have similar experiences like that, like being a carer or having children of their own when they're studying. But there's actually a lot more than you think of people who have that experience. And it's really good to be able to kind of chat to them and find them on our platforms. Well, I don't want to go through all 7 communities because there are a lot, but it's so nice to see such a diverse range of students. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can get involved in a minute. But just really nice to see that people know about their identity and, you know, really want to be able to talk about it, and that there are other people who share experiences the same as you. So how can you get involved? Well, as we just said, you can sign up you can sign up to our groups. You can find us on Facebook, and down the side there you can find all of our socials. But there are quite a lot of direct ways to get involved in like student opportunities that we have, so community stuff and liberation group stuff as well. So the first thing obviously is to be able to attend the events. We put a lot of events all year round. For me, my events are slightly different from the events liberation groups. They're not student led mostly. I tend to either work with students or create the event for students to meet each other, so slightly different from liberation groups, but there are always events the whole year round, and you can keep in touch with the events on the site. Oh, is there a quick question before I move on? Has someone got a hand up? No? Maybe later. You can also run your own events. So I tend to work with students when they want to put on an event for people who share their particular experiences. So if they think there's a gap or like a real chance to kind of create a community building event, we tend to work with them. But for Regan, as I said, it's slightly different. I would say that the students who involve liberation groups, one of their main jobs is putting on events, right, Regan?
Yes, exactly. So the liberation group leaders, they are elected into their roles, and then they take the initiative to put on various events that then the membership of those groups would like to see. So often they gather feedback from those groups. So if you did become a member, there is no reason that you couldn't suggest something for the liberation group to do, and then they could go ahead and plan that, and you could definitely be part of the planning process as well.
Yeah, for sure. As we said as well, being an intern, now I've said to you that being a community students intern or an intern for me is kind of research based about policy and representation, but do you want to tell everyone about the intern position that you have, Regan, or the roles that you advertise for?
Yeah, definitely. So we have an intern role as the student groups intern, and unfortunately I just hired them for this year, so that
yes, of course.
has already gone out the window. But it's still that it's exciting that we still offer students these job opportunities, and there will be more coming up around October time for different areas of the Students' Union, so keep an eye out.
Yeah. As I said, for community, because it is a lot about research, and we tend to conduct a lot of research in the SU, as well as collaborate with university research, getting involved in focus groups and on university working groups that particularly to experience is a really, really good way to be able to kind of talk about your life, how it's going with your studies, like what particular experience you have, to make sure that university policy and SU policy changes and is as current and as supportive of you as possible.
Yeah. So the best way to get involved in any liberation group events or any liberation group campaigns is to join their pages on their groups on the MDXSU website. So that link that Kira's just put into the chat last there, that is the place that you can find all of our societies, but also all of our liberation groups and all of our communities. Each of them has their own webpage to tell you a little bit more about them. You can search for them in the search bar at the top, or you can just click through and see which ones appeal to you. And then once you're on their webpage, you can click the button that says join this group. And once you're signed up to the group, you'll be able to receive any updates, any events that are going on. We'll also be doing an elections really soon. So if you do feel like a leadership opportunity is something you'd like to take on board, then you can definitely get involved that way as well. And maybe it could be you planning events and you leading the group. Get right in at the deep end if you're a new student. But yeah, that's super exciting stuff. So definitely check them out.
Yeah, and as for kind of contacting more people on the socials, obviously I said we were all on Facebook, so please feel free to look for the different liberation groups on Facebook and the community. So to find a community that you want to join, say if you're a parent, you just put MDXSU student, parent and carers into the Facebook search bar. There's the group, you join it, I'll approve you, and that's a space people can kind of contact each other. Feel free to say hello, introduce yourself, say what your course is, and I'm sure there'll be someone who, even if they don't do the same course as you, do something similar or has a similar kind of experience to you. We have some Instagrams as well. So the Liberation Group Instagrams are there. And me and Regan are also, well, I'm semi-active. Regan is very active on the Instagram. So you can always keep updates of our society events as well and our community stuff too.
Yeah, so the society's Instagram is basically the central point for all student group events going on. So that's liberation groups and societies. If you do want to give that a follow, I try and keep that as updated as possible, and it will definitely be more active over the welcome period. We also recently confirmed that we will be going ahead with the Freshers Fair this year. So anyone who does fancy returning to the campus, you can definitely come down on the 22nd and 23rd of September, and we will have some of our student groups there on the first day and the other half of them on the second day as well. Not all of them will be popping by, so do check out the website if you are looking for a specific one. We'll update the web pages really, really soon to tell you who's going to be there on which day, so do keep an eye on that. And very helpfully, there is the link to check that out.
You guys are really on it. We love to be supported by glamorous assistants. And also to see down the bottom, if you've ever got any questions for either me or Regan, our little emails are right there. So Regan's and mine. And if you have any general questions about what the groups are, if you want any more information, if you're struggling to access the website, please feel free to send us an email. And also Regan's little society's email is there, which is kind of at the central point to all of our communications. So we're easy to reach. We like to have lots of fingers, lots of different pies. We are everywhere, so please do get involved on all of our socials or feel free to email us. And again, as I'm sure Kira's popped into the chat, I can't see the chat as I'm presenting, but I'm sure she's put it in. This is the link to our website. A lot of stuff that's going on campus during Freshers will be on campus, and we do have lots of events going on for our societies, our liberation groups and our communities. However, some stuff is still online too. We're taking Freshers as a blending approach because we understand that different people on campus and different people need things online at different times. So make sure that you go on the website, keep in touch with all the opportunities we have. And yeah, just get in contact with us. I'll pop my email into the chat as well if you guys need it during your time here. But thank you so much for listening. I think we've got a little minute to take any questions. So has anybody got anything they want to ask in particular? Feel free to unmute or pop it in the chat.
Yes. Anything liberation group or society or community related, feel free to pop a hand up.
Yeah, there's one from Jane in the chat, just asking about enrollment. Jane, we will get back to you. Zainab, if you've got we've got a helpful web page with some frequently asked questions that will take you through all of the processes for that and some contact details. So any questions related to enrollment or about timetables, or if you're struggling with IT or passwords or anything, we've created this sort of one-stop shop web page. So if you go check that out, you should be able to find your answers there, or if not, a relevant team will be able to help you sort things out. But is there any other questions at all for Polito or Regan? No? Good. You've done such a good job, guys, clearly. I guess one thing maybe we could just mention is that we do have tomorrow between 4 and 5, we've got a Students with Disabilities virtual meetup and a Parents and Carers virtual meetup as well. So we'll, Zainab, would you mind popping the booking link in the chat as well? So if you identify with either of those groups, then please do come along and join us tomorrow between 4 and 5. But yeah, otherwise, okay, thank you both so much. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Oh, actually,
lovely to see you.
Oh, just before I go, there's also an early induction for disabled students that's going on the 7th. I'll just pop that into the chat. So that will just be some brief kind of information on what support services you're entitled to at Middlesex. It will be like a disability-friendly campus tour as well, led by ambassadors, and you'll get a chance to meet our Disabled Students Liberation Group president and see my lovely face again. So I'll just pop that into the chat for you guys. So please, it's free to book. It's just on the 7th, but it's on campus, but we'll make it so that some parts of it will be accessible virtually too. So I'll just pop that in, and please do come if you'd like. 1 second.
And also all of our student group events for Welcome Month will be launching by next week. So keep an eye on the MDXSU website on the events page, and you will see them all under the Give It a Go program that we're going to be running. So you can pop by to those, you can have a little go of any societies or liberation groups before you actually join them. So yeah, keep an eye out. It's about 50% online and 50% in person. So nice and accessible to everyone. But that's all. That's the last thing. But it was so lovely to see so many faces today. I know it's been a really long and sometimes quite lonely year, so it's so exciting to see so many of you here and so active and so keen to get involved in Middlesex University life. And I really hope that some of you engage with the Students' Union and our societies and our communities and our liberation groups and get as involved as possible and make the most out of it. It was so nice to see you all.
Yep, so nice to meet you all.
Brilliant. Thank you both so much.
No worries. See you later.
Bye, guys. Have a good day.
Fab. Thank you. Great. So in that case, we can move on to the next part of our session this afternoon. So we've got our lovely ambassadors in the room with us again. Hopefully you've managed to meet 1 or 2 of them at various events over the past week or so far. Guys, if you want to give a little wave, put your cameras on. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're the next part of the afternoon, we're just really keen for you guys to connect with each other and start making some friends. So our student ambassadors are either current students or recent graduates, so they're very understanding and can very much relate to sort of what you guys are experiencing right now. So we're just going to put you into breakout rooms of a student ambassador, and it's an opportunity for you guys to just get to know each other a little bit better, interact with our ambassadors, who'll be able to kind of answer any questions that you might have as well. And hopefully you guys can have a little bit of fun and get to know each other. So Zainab's going to invite you to join a breakout room. So that should hopefully pop up on your screen and you can accept. If you're struggling a little bit, or if it doesn't come up automatically, you might see a button that says more with 3 dots. If you click on that, it should allow you to see the breakout room invitation, which you can accept. Or if you're still struggling, just drop us a note in the chat, or you can come off mic and let us know, and we can try and help sort that out for you. Hopefully it should come up automatically, but yes, do just let us know, or try clicking that more button as well. Sometimes it's in the top right hand corner on your phone, I think, rather than at the bottom of the screen. So just have a little look around for that. Cool. And I can see it's just a few people potentially struggling. Do just let us know if you can't access one of those breakout rooms, and we can try and assist you. Esther, Priyanka, Aswati, Karina, Zoe, Antonio, Brody, do let us know if you're struggling at all. We can try and help you, but you should have that automatic invitation to join a breakout room. Otherwise, do just hit the more button or come on camera or just pop in the chat and we'll try and help as best we can. Karina, Zoe or Antonio, do let us know if we can help at all to get you into any of those breakout rooms if you are struggling. Zainab, how long are they in the breakout room? So we bring, oh, it's half an hour, isn't it?
Yeah, half an hour.
I think
So
all of the ambassadors are quite experienced with it all now.
yeah, should I still just go and check the rooms, or do you think?
I'll do that if you want, if you're happy to just stay here.
Honestly, I don't mind. If you want to, you can.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm just gonna,
Okay.
yeah, I'll just sort of float through them.
Cool,
It's
no
really
problem.
annoying though. Like for some reason, I can't seem to jump from room to room once I'm in a breakout room. I have to come back to this meeting and go out again. So is that
Really? I always have the option.
I think it might because you're the host. Because once I go in the breakout room thing, well, actually, let me try it again. Maybe I'm just not reading it properly. All right, I'm going to try now.
Okay, cool.
Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you.
Right. I hope you had some fun in your breakout rooms, getting to know one another. I see lots of smiling faces, which is nice. Hopefully you guys learned some interesting facts about one another. I'll just wait for the few more groups. I think we're just waiting for it to come back from their rooms. There we go. You can see you all floating in. Welcome back. Welcome, welcome. Brilliant. Just wait, I think there's a few more people just to come in. Hope you guys had a nice time. There we go, we're getting there, we're getting there. Brilliant. So as I just mentioned, we have got a couple more presentations left for you this afternoon, but I'm just going to give you a few minutes break. If you do want to just go and grab a drink, stretch your legs, get up from the screen, please feel free to do so. Go and grab a glass of water and walk around for a little bit. I know it gets a bit tiring sitting and looking at the screen for so long. So we will start the next presentation at 4 o'clock. So please do come and join us for that, but feel free to take a bit of a break for the next few minutes or so.
Yeah, so from my group, Omo wants to say something. Omo, do you still want to say something?
No.
Yeah, please say.
No.
No.
Aww.
Okay, it's all right.
No. The thing is, responding here, a lot of people won't understand what I'm responding to. So it was the question that was asked at the other side. Answering here won't make any, you need to catch up on what we've said. That's why.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh, bless you. We are here if you do want to tell us.
I did have someone in my group who was unsure about the CAS. Yeah, she hasn't had hers come back yet.
I don't know. She might.
I had mine. I just got mine yesterday, so I guess they're working on a lot of batches, or I hear they're doing it in batches. So just be hopeful it will come in this week, hopefully, because I got mine yesterday.
If you do want to try and follow up on that, my colleague Zainab's just popped a link in the chat box there, which has got kind of some of the frequently asked questions that we get from you guys. And if you click through to that link, if your question and answer isn't there, then there's a link to a live chat where someone will literally be able to respond to you and able to look into it. There's a telephone number if you prefer to give them a ring. And also there's a form as well where you can submit an online query and ask for someone to contact you. So for any kind of queries around, there's lots of information now about enrolment, inductions, and when you can expect your timetable post-enrolment. So do just have a look through that page. And if you can't find your answer, as I say, there's the chat, online inquiry or telephone number at the top of the page, where you can reach out to someone and they'll be able to support you or put you in contact with the relevant team. So do that. Just got, as I said, we've got a couple more minutes before the next session kicks off. I just give everyone who's gone to grab a glass of water or so a couple of minutes to get back. Were all your breakout rooms fun for those of you who've stuck with her?
Yeah, it was nice.
Good.
Yeah, it was nice.
You met some people, made some friends.
Yeah, kind of. Nice.
I know it's a bit of a, it can be a bit challenging, can't it, trying to do it all online, but hopefully it does give you a bit of an opportunity before your course starts just to meet some friendly faces, speak to some of our student ambassadors as well. Okey-doke. I'll give it one more minute and then I shall introduce our next speakers.
Sierra,
Hello.
actually one student has one query about the sea tang, I swear tang, if I'm pronouncing correctly. Actually, she has some query about her visa because she has a British passport, but she's like not living here from last 3 years. So she's like paying around she's paying international student fee.
Sure.
So she was wondering that if you can just
Yeah,
swear tang.
absolutely. So as I say, there's on that FAQ link page that Zainab's just popped in the chat there is a couple of questions I can see that are linked to visas and some stuff like visa advice. So if that doesn't answer the question, the information that's there, do visit that at the top of that page. There's the live chat, the online form, and a telephone number as well. And then if you go through to them, they'll be able to support better because they'll be able to bring up your records and all the files and be able to answer directly and be able to look into it for you individually. So please, I would encourage you guys to use that. They're very helpful. Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Sorry. Okie doke. Right. Without further ado, I am going to welcome back to everyone as well. But yeah, I'm going to welcome our next presenters. We have Alan Stewart, who leads our Student and Graduate Careers and Employability Service here at Middlesex. And we also have Ben Serlin, who's leading our Changing the Culture initiative. Alan and Ben are going to speak to you now about how and why culture and values are important to students as part of #TeamMDX. See, I told you you'd start hearing it. And as well as the community spirit that encompasses all of us here. So I shall hand over. Ben, you're up first, aren't you? You got your presentation all ready to go?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Fab, let's do it.
Right.
So
hopefully this works.
Oh.
That doesn't look very promising. How about that? Okay, good. So hi there. Hi everyone. My name is Ben Serlin. As Kiara said, I lead something called the Change in the Culture initiative, and I'm going to talk about that, and then Alan's going to come on a bit later. So it's quite a diverse conversation actually about culture and values. Before I begin, I did want to just plug the web page that's actually on this slide. So Kiara, if you could drop that in the chat. Basically everything that I'm going to talk about today is on that slide, on those web pages. So it'd be really useful if you can go and have a look at that. So as I said, I lead on the Change in the Culture initiative. The initiative, in short, is a set of projects which looks at how we can positively shift attitudes, values, and behaviours in the context of equality and diversity, and specifically in the context of gender-based violence, harassment, and hate crime. So our work is about tackling things like anti-Semitism and Islamophobia, bullying, harassment, racism, sexual violence, online abuse. And it's also really linking into things like Black Lives Matter or Reclaim the Streets and Me Too. So some really exciting work. The work is centered around the idea of creating a university community which is more tolerant and respectful, building a greater understanding and empathy for difference, and ensuring that all identities feel safe, valued, secure, and that they truly belong at Middlesex, because they truly do. And at the heart of the initiative, it's about trying to embed the university's values in all aspects of our culture and everything that we do. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time today just going over what we mean by our values, what are important to the university. We'll look a little bit at the student conduct and discipline rules, the student charter. These are kind of important documents. And I'll just signpost some ways that you can support the Change in the Culture initiative. A good place to start is with something called the student charter. You may well have seen this already. It's essentially a brief statement of shared responsibilities and expectations for students as well as staff and the Students' Union. So there's responsibilities under various themes, for example, teaching and engagement or assessment and feedback. And because of the theme of today, I've just copied the shared responsibilities for culture on this slide. So the responsibilities are fairly broad. But it's basically about, it covers how we're expected to interact with each other, what we see as important, and you'll see it places a lot of value on embracing diversity. I think Alan's going to talk a little bit about how diverse the university is, and we really want you to embrace that. But it's also things like taking responsibility for your own growth and your own development in various ways. The charter touches on how we interact with the university and how we want you to treat the physical environment. So things like how you would use resources appropriately and sustainably. And I think importantly, it's also outward looking. So there's emphasis on what you can do to enhance the reputation of the university, or how you can contribute positively to our local community. And it's very much this charter that's at the centre of, you know, what we stand for as a university and the type of behaviours that we expect from all university students and university staff as well. Another key document is the student conduct and discipline rules. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but it really is an important thing for you to be aware of in terms of how it spells out the type of behaviours that we won't stand for, that we say are not acceptable. And actually, as part of your enrolment process, you've actually signed to say that you will comply with these rules. So if you haven't actually looked at these rules, because lots of people will not have, it might be a good idea at some point to go and have a look at university regulations and just see the type of behaviours and the kind of penalties that the rules covers. A few points that I just want to get across about the student conduct and discipline rules. The first one is that it's not just about enabling the university to discipline the students, nor is it just about ensuring fair procedures are in place, though all that is really important. It's really about helping to create a university community which encourages mutual respect between all members. And that mutual respect is really at the heart of our university values. So if I give a quick example, which is the example of free speech. So the rules protect your right to participate in discussion and debate, and it supports you to be able to express yourself and your variety of different perspectives. But as you move through university, we want you to develop those perspectives and hopefully your skills and confidence to express those viewpoints in various ways. But the rules set out how you can do that and make sure that you do so in a way that respects the rights of others and doesn't cause harm, that isn't discriminatory or prejudiced. So they're a really important document. The next slide, I've just put some key questions on which I was just trying to ask. So what behaviours do the student conduct and discipline rules address? The short answer is that's really something to go and have a look at the university regulations. But the misconduct rules, they cover 4 areas. So misconduct against the university, misconduct against people, misconduct against the community, misconduct against property. And the point here is to say that it's fairly broad, it covers lots of areas, and I think that's something that potentially gets missed when students go from school or college to university, is that as a Middlesex student you're required to adhere to the rules in lots of different contexts that you might not have realised. Most of the rules are actually pretty standard. I'm sure you've had something very similar at your previous education, but it's trying to be aware that this stuff's there and it's designed to, you know, create a better community for all, but they are enforced as well. The second question about where the rules apply, so they apply to misconduct which impacts on the university itself, a student, employee or visitor. They apply if the conduct takes place at the universities in a classroom, but also during any university activity, so placement, field trips, and in any context where the university is represented. So in short, both on and off campus. And they not only apply to physical spaces, but also online. So in social media, in text messaging, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, the university responds in the same way to inappropriate behaviours online as it does in the real world. And I think that's an important point, is that the university really values creating harmonious, supportive communities, and that very much goes on the online spaces as well. a big part of the Change in the Culture initiative is trying to create a culture that doesn't stand for or tolerate forms of hate. It's part of our values to create a positive learning environment where everyone can thrive. This is obviously important. And an important step to enable us to create that culture is about facilitating reporting and then delivering an effective response to unacceptable behaviours. So as part of the Change in the Culture initiative, we set up last year something called Report It to Stop It. So Report It to Stop It provides you with a way to report to the university misconduct relating to discrimination, bullying, harassment, intimidation, violence, or any other form of hate. So it's a really important mechanism. All you have to do is complete a short online form. You decide if you want to provide your details and thus be contacted by an appropriate member of staff, but you can also report anonymously. And you can either find Report It to Stop It via the Change in the Culture page that's on this slide. You can find it on UniHub, or you can actually just type in Google UniHub Report It to Stop It. So it's fairly easy to find. We've done lots of work to try and encourage reporting, and in particular breaking down barriers which prevent some students from reporting to the university. So Report It to Stop It has loads of additional information, things about reporting routes, information about what happens next. And really our intention is to provide you with the information so you can make an informed decision that's right for you. We've also done lots of work on ensuring that students, when they do report, they receive an effective and helpful response. So for example, we've developed online training for all staff to be able to recognise, respond and report concerns. We're working with various charities such as Against Violence and Abuse or Line Culture, as well as universities, to make sure that your report is handled sensitively, appropriately, and in line with protocols and procedures. So it's really to stress that the university values this work, and this is incredibly important to us. Basically, if you do experience or witness any form of hate, we want to create a culture where you have the confidence to tell the university about it and that you will be taken seriously. As part of the Change in the Culture initiative, we set up something called Agents of Change as well. Oh, hold on a second. Yeah, we've suddenly got an Agents of Change competition at the moment. So as well as placing importance on a safe learning environment, there's other things that we think about when we're talking about equality, diversity, tolerance and inclusion. And I suppose the heart of the Change in the Culture initiative is the idea that a student's journey for university is so much more than simply getting a degree and going on to get a decent job, whatever that may be. It's the idea and increasingly the necessity that students come out of university as socially conscious citizens who will make a positive impact, not only to their own lives, but to the world around them. And that positive impact can be in lots of different contexts. In the area of the Change the Culture initiative, that's about challenging things like hate, bigotry, prejudice. And we want it to encourage you to become that socially conscious citizen, but also an agent of change. So an agent of change is the idea of promoting and driving forward social change and you recognizing a social responsibility to support, empower and drive forward equality, human rights, inclusion, diversity. So we want to equip you with the skills, the confidence to be able to do that. And to start you on that journey, we've set up something called the Agents of Change competition. So it's a competition that's currently open at the moment. It closes on the 5th of September. And to enter the competition, you need to produce something, a story, a poem, a photograph, a film, and you need to respond to one of several briefs that you can find online. And these cover, for example, Black Lives Matter or Reclaim These Streets or things like supporting each other during COVID. And shortlisted entries will be used in an exhibition and potentially at a university-wide messaging. So this is an absolutely brilliant opportunity for you to get your voice out there, for tell us about your experiences. And there's also £1,000 of vouchers up for grabs as a prize. So it's definitely worth seeing if you can put something together. You know, at the heart of it is really trying to get your voice out there, and that's very, very important to us, the Change the Culture Initiative, and to Middlesex. The final way that you can support the work of the Change the Culture Initiative is by looking and engaging in our resources. So on our webpage on UniHub, you'll see the banner with this picture on the slide. If you click on it, you find an extensive selection of multimedia resources, which basically talk about the issues that the Change in the Culture Initiative is trying to address. So we've got anti-racism resources. So if you want to learn more about white privilege, white supremacy, microaggressions, we've got resources which tackle gender-based violence. So explaining things like what is sexual consent, debusting rape myths. We've got loads of general resources. We also see campaign books produced by students, galleries of students' work, exhibitions. And what you notice is that resources very much utilise the work of Middlesex University students. As I said, it's really important that student voice is at the heart of what we're doing. And over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of success in using students' work in lots of our initiatives and communications, etc. This student work has been great for us because it's incredibly impactful and powerful. But it's also one of the benefits of the students is that it provides some great CV building opportunities. And I think it's this point which should hopefully link into Alan's expertise and the work of employability, that in today's job market, employers are looking for more than simply a degree or work experience. You know, businesses and organizations are increasingly operating in a global context. So they're looking for a multitude, people with experience of working with a multitude of different people, different lived experiences, different backgrounds, different opinions, belief systems, all the rest of it. We believe that Middlesex is a great place to provide students with that experience, tools, knowledge, know-how to be able to operate in that context. You know, it's not just a question of going to university to either get a job or broaden your outlook, broaden your horizons, etc. These ideas are not mutually exclusive. They absolutely support each other. So on that note, I'm going to hand you over to Alan. And maybe if I have a bit of time at the end, we can answer a few questions. Really hope to see some of you again as part of the Change the Culture Initiative, and of course, all the best for the academic year ahead.
Thank you so much, Ben. Just while Alan's getting his presentation ready and stuff, just to let everyone know that the links for the competition and for the information on the web pages as well, Zainab has been posting in the chat. There we go.
Sorry, I just need to share my screen.
No worries.
Yeah, just sharing my screen 1 sec.
Oh, there we go. Takes a little while to load sometimes.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me okay?
All good. Alan, if you press the slideshow button.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get that now.
Awesome, thank you.
You see the slides moving forward, okay? Cool, great. Well, thank you, Ben. Perfect kind of segue into employability from what you were saying there. And absolutely goes without saying that, you know, the degree is an awesome thing. It's a beautiful thing and something to be truly valued, but there's no denying that employers look for evidence of other activities and engagement and other things that you would have done through the time at university. And so Middlesex really does kind of push the boat out in respect of making these activities and opportunities available, because those are the kinds of things that will really make you stand apart from the crowd. And the really important messaging that Ben was saying there about respect and valuing the culture and the diversity of your fellow students is really important foundation for moving into the world of work. And so that's kind of where we're coming in from our side on employability, is that every day that you are a student, there's an opportunity to kind of put another layer of professional and you know, clothing on you, I guess, if you want, and adopting the principles of the student charter and really embedding that sense of respect for fellow students. is actually just really important for the world of work and the future workplace that you are likely to go into. It's well known that you are likely to work in a place where there are multiple cultures, multiple kind of ethnic cultures, multiple, gender. You will be working possibly in different time zones across multiple projects. So you really have to be quite fluid in how you work with people. So absolutely what Ben was talking about there is relevant, increasingly relevant to employability. So just very, very quickly, the MDX Works, in case you don't know who we are, we're the Careers and Employability Service, based in CG07 when we're on campus, but currently we're still offering everything online, but we are slowly moving back on campus from next week. We're there to offer you one-to-one support, tailored support from day one, all the way through and all the way as you're a graduate as well. So we don't stop the support when you finish your program. You have support for life. As well as the one-to-one support with your advisor for your particular program, we offer a range of kind of co-curricular programs that are really designed to engage you in different ways and maybe stimulate those interests that you have outside of your program. So as I say, one-to-one support with your faculty employability advisor, and that obviously covers the whole range of things from basic CV reviews all the way through to interview support, application support, assessment center, job searching and part-time work searching, placement and internship work, helping you secure those as well. And also we have Unitemps, which is the in-house recruitment agency for all of the student roles on campus, including the student ambassadors, SLAs, student learning assistants, and a whole range of other roles that currently happen on campus. And actually in the next year or so, we'll be looking to branch that out into local communities. So we will be able to offer you more part-time, flexible paid work. So it's a great opportunity to earn while you learn, as well as gaining new skills. So on top of that core service, we obviously have these programs, and just some of them here. I'm not going to spend too long on them, but MD Accelerator is our student startup program. That will be kicking off again in November. So if you have any sense of wanting to take over the world with your startup idea, then get in touch when you see the messaging about that. MDX Advantage is our specific program, boot camp program, if you like, for final year students, and that will kick off again at the beginning of next year. So please look out for messaging on that. MDXL is our project-based initiative. So occasionally you will see us shout out for students who want to embark on a real project with a real client, offering real solutions. And it's a fantastic way of putting your learning, applying your in-class learning into a real situation. And we're doing a lot of work on that and building that program. Emerging Professional Program we've just completed for this year through the summer, and that's a range of workshops, year groups, and then a final project and with real clients as a kind of paid internship. So we'll be running that again next summer. I guess the one that's most relevant today is MDX Equals, which is our kind of umbrella term for activities that we do that celebrate and showcase and highlight the fantastic diversity of the Middlesex student community. And I can't emphasize enough how valuable that is to be part of that. That's coming from employers, an increasing number of employers that we work with who are switching their radar away from the traditional Russell Group universities that they have always recruited from, where they just basically get the same kind of people all the time. What they are looking for is a diverse workforce. And so they look to institutions like Middlesex because of the diversity of our student community. We've got students from 145 countries of all blends and all backgrounds and all wonderful kind of individual, kind of unique kind of personalities. And that's really valuable for employers going forward. So MDX Equals is kind of a way of helping students to understand the value and the place that they have as an individual in the future world of work. So last year we did a range of events and programs, including things like our Disability Day, networking, mental health, well-being day, again, really just focusing on the on well-being and that kind of mental health issues. International Women's Day, diversity panel, and diversity and inclusion careers panel as well. So we'll be repeating many of those through this coming year and additional. So do please look out for those, because they are really about the culture and the value of each and every one of you as a student, and how valuable that is, and how you should really embrace that with confidence. Because every one of you has a place in society, a rightful place in society, as much as anyone else. So social mobility, we've been rewarded with some of our work on social mobility with employers, diversity and social mobility. So it's something we feel really strongly about at MDX Works. As you probably understand now, Middlesex is a very diverse university, and that's what makes it really a wonderful place to be and a wonderful place to study. And because every day, obviously, when we're back on campus, every day you have the opportunity to work closely, learn from, get to know people from such a wide variety of backgrounds and cultures, and developing that kind of international cultural perspective, which is such a valuable skill to have for employers. So there are lots of things that the university does to kind of really shout about what we are like as a university and that diversity that we have, as you can see on the screen there with our Equality and Diversity Gold Standard Awards, and the fact of working with the Athena Swan Charter. So we're really focused on celebrating the student community we have. What is social mobility? You may probably hear of the term a lot. There are many definitions of it, but probably my favorite one, the kind of the most basic one, I guess, is it's the journey between where you start off, where you end up. And the focus of social mobility is to remove any barriers that get in the way. So regardless of your starting point, there should be no barriers to your aspirations, where you want to end up. And so that's what our social mobility is really about. And that's what we try and focus on through MDX Works, and the support that we give, that especially that one-to-one support, because really want to get to know you and want to get to know your social cultural values, your aspirations, your passions, your goals, your lived experiences, your vulnerabilities, because all of these things is what makes you who you are, and that's what makes you distinct. So what we want to do is to be able to help you to be able to articulate that. Employers are changing. Social mobility in the UK always has a bit of a struggle. There are many barriers that from a political climate. We're not going to that at the moment, but employers do recognise increasingly the value of a diverse workforce, and so many are moving much more towards a recruitment kind of practice that really mitigates and minimizes any of those barriers, like non-bias, and really kind of looking at broadening their view of where they recruit from, because they value that people with different ideas from different backgrounds make them much more creative and much more. So things like the Social Mobility Pledge, which Middlesex has been heavily involved in, the Social Mobility Alliance, Social Mobility Foundation, all of these are organizations, movements, if you like, that we are very intimately involved with, and that we partner with many of those organizations and businesses who are aligned to those. We have shared values. We recognize that regardless of background circumstance, every one of you as a student should have same opportunity as anyone else from a more privileged institution or background or wherever that is. So it's really in our DNA as a service to. My personal belief, and I'm not alone in this, I have to admit, is that the way that people are going to be hiring is as I mentioned, hiring from a broader range of candidates, different cultures, different life experiences and education. In an organization where you have that diversity, you are much more aligned to what customers are looking for and what society is looking for. And also you have much more innovation, very creativity in your So we very much focus on MDX Works about tell your story, shape your career, because you have a story and that story is different to everyone else's. And that's what employers want to hear. They want to hear your story in a variety of different formats. Now that might be through a CV, although I'll come on to that in a second. Your LinkedIn profile. Yeah, LinkedIn is a platform that we really heavily promote. MDX Works, and if you're not on LinkedIn, we advise you to get on there very quick and create your story. Be active on LinkedIn, and that's obviously something that we can help you with at MDX Works. It might be about how you talk to someone at a networking event, your story, but that's what employers want to hear. And so that's why we really focus on you getting engaged with MDX Works from the earliest point in your program, so that we can really kind of come on board with you, work with you on a one-to-one basis all the way through, so that by the time you're leaving Middlesex, you really are truly confident about exactly who you are, your distinctiveness in the workplace going forward, articulate why you are the best person for that role. That also involves, you know, getting involved in those programs that we talked about, MD Accelerator, MDX Advantage, the emerging professional program, co-curricular programs, because it's those kinds of additional activities where time permits. We know that students are really busy, but where time permits and you can engage in those make a huge difference. You know, your degree, as I say, is a beautiful, awesome thing, but your degree and your ability to then say, but I've also done this. I also have digital badging around leadership. I also have digital badging around resilience. And here's how I demonstrated those. That is what makes an employer sit up and take notice, your ability to kind of articulate your individuality, your wholeness. That's really what's turning them on, if you excuse the phrase. Just touching on the international cultural perspective, again, you know, because it's kind of relevant to I guess what we've been saying today. I can't emphasize enough of what Ben was saying. That kind of ability for you to recognize and respect your peers as you go through your study program and those with your study program, students in Middlesex and staff and people that you meet along the way, is actually hugely important. And by doing that now and by embedding that into your DNA now, if you like, when you come to kind of transition into the world of work, you'll already have it. And it is a huge skill to have the ability for you to just accept and value difference and diversity, especially the way that the modern workplace is going with this kind of multiple kind of task-driven, multiple kind of project, multiple timeline, multiple kind of teams of people that you'll likely be working with. So just very quickly, potential over polish and capability over capital. No one is perfect. Anyone who says they're perfect is lying. So don't feel that you have to be something. All you have to be is having a willingness to learn, willingness to respect others, and that kind of real desire to think ahead, and that's where we can really help you. And we recognize your potential, we recognize your capability, and that again is reflective of what employers are looking for. They're not looking for the finished project, the finished product. They're looking for someone who can come into their organization, be ready to learn, be ready to soak it up and actually contribute. So those are two sayings, I guess, or two terms that we use quite a lot. And they are, you know, very much used by employers. I want LinkedIn, please get in touch with us about LinkedIn. Also make use of LinkedIn Learning. It's a hugely rich portfolio of free online tutorials and programs that you can which will really help. It's help you create a playlist, if you like, of LinkedIn Learning modules that are applicable to where you are in your different stage of your learning. So please, again, get in touch with us. Again, just going back to some of the employers that we work with, these are some, and pretty much all of these work with us because they recognize the diversity and the social value and the social richness and cultural richness of Middlesex. And so take pride in being at Middlesex, take pride in being one of those people, regardless of background, circumstances, ethnic, gender, beliefs, principles, lived experiences. Who you are at this point is who you are. And that is what draws employers to us, because they want what you are, if that makes sense. So these employers are drawn to Middlesex because they value. Slightly controversial, probably, I don't know, but it's my belief CV is dead. I don't think I'm alone in that one. The CV is a piece of paper, and it's no more you than a piece of paper. But it's kind of what we have at the moment to tell your story. But you are much more than that. There are ways in which we are working to kind of move beyond the CV, and micro-credentialing that you'll hear a lot more about is one way of doing that. But you are not a piece of paper. You are absolutely distinct, absolutely individual. And please take pride in that. Please take that as a foundation for moving forward, and come and work with MDX Works, because that's the kind of thing that we want to help you confidently articulate. Is your story, and you are more than just the CV. So I hope that kind of made sense.
The song of old McDonald's. McDonald's had a fun.
Thank you so much, Alan. Oh, Lavetta, have you got a question? Is that no? Okey-doke, maybe an accidental unmute there. So thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, Alan. We've got time for a couple of quick questions. If anybody wants to ask anything to either Ben or Alan, you can either pop anything in the chat and I can read it out, or you can, if you're feeling brave, you can come on mic and ask. Just pop your hand up and we can unmute you. I'll just give you a couple of quick seconds. Can't see anything coming through. Oh, just some thank yous, which is lovely. But yeah, and do flick back through the chat to any students as well. As Alan and Ben were talking there, Zainab's been posting the relevant links down the side. So if you can always go to those pages for further resources. Oh, you've got lots of thank yous coming through in the chat. Ben and Alan, there we go. Yeah. Okie doke. I will take that as a no to any questions.
Sorry, can I just say something? Really sorry.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it because I came in late from the section. I was just running from when I was coming, but I really enjoyed the section. One of the reasons I was dropped to Middlesex because equality, diversity, and inclusion means a lot to me, especially in the field I chose as well, because we live in a diverse world and people have to understand that the world is changing, and culture-wise as well. Because what I like in my culture may be different to other people as well. So when I saw the setting on the internet and all that, I said, oh, Middlesex is going to be very diverse. I'm going to choose this university, and I chose, and I'm glad I did, because when I came in as well, I saw what I think I saw on the internet. I saw it for real as well. So, and for you to speak more about a CV is just a paper, were more than a CV, I think it's true, because when I was writing my personal statement, I know it's my personal statement in the piece of paper, but that the piece of paper doesn't represent me, because me is me and no one can change me. I'm the only one that can tell my story that to the people, to the world, that the world is going to understand me better than the personal statement. So for me to hear what he said now really touched me, and I just reflected back to my personal statement. That's true. Just like a CV, you're dropping a CV to someone, it doesn't mean they know you all. They have to be close to you to know who you are and understand you as well. So the section I spoke about the CV really touched me, and I think I just needed to contribute a little bit into it as well. So thank you for all you said today. I really appreciate it.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, Yemisola. And actually, just what you said there, even that probably captures more about you as a personality and character than a CV would. So I think we've just proven our point. At any point you want to contact me directly, I'll put my email address in there. We are absolutely committed to each and every one of you being able to tell your story.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Yemisola. Okay. Brilliant. You've got some thumbs up as well. Lovely stuff. Okay. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you so much, Alan. I will now hand over to Jack, who is going to lead us for the last part of our session this afternoon. So Jack works in Alan's team in MDX Works, and he's our engagement and employability manager here. And he's going to talk to you about finding work, placements and work experience during your time here at university. So really anything that you can do alongside your course that can help you to improve chances of securing a job after university, or just making the most out of your experiences as well. So without further ado, I shall hand over to Jack. Have you got your presentations ready to go there?
Yeah, it should be good. Just
fantastic.
Is everyone seeing?
Yeah, I think it's just brilliant. There we go.
Great stuff.
Got that. Thanks, Jack.
Is that in the full screen mode, Kira, as opposed to just the slides?
Yeah, no, you're good. You can see the full screen.
Perfect. Okie dokie. Right, give me one moment. I can't actually see it on my own screen for some reason.
That happens sometimes.
There we go. There we go. I'm here.
Good
Fantastic. Okay. Well, hi everybody, and good afternoon. I'm delighted to be with you all for this final session from MDX Works. I know that as you've all been hearing from my colleague Alan around what MDX Works does as a service, and our ambition and our aims to ensure that we support every single student to absolutely tell their story that shapes the future career. So I'm not going to talk to you too much about what MDX Works does. The first part of the presentation would usually do that, but because we're back to back today, and Alan does a fantastic job of doing that as director of our service, what I will do is go straight into the exciting stuff around finding work placements and work experience, and how you can navigate those processes whilst you're a student at Middlesex to ensure that you are more than just that degree transcript. I heard Alan say earlier that the degree is a fantastic thing, employers value it very highly, but by itself, it's not enough. We need a little bit more from students and graduates in 2021. And one of the ways you can do that is to capture some work experience or to seek out a placement during your studies at Middlesex. What I think it's useful to do today is talk a little bit around what are the types of placements and internships and work experience that exist, and what's the right fit for you as a student at Middlesex, because everyone's circumstances are very, very different. So there's no one size fits all. This is the right placement for you at Middlesex. There's a variety of ways that you can get involved and build on that story that Alan was talking about by gaining and capturing little pieces of experience throughout the undergraduate or postgraduate degree that really will form a central component of that future story that you talk about when it comes to applying for a job in the future. So I will get into it. I'm going to skip through these first few slides because, as I said, that's a little bit more around what we do within MDX Works. One of the things I will highlight, if Alan hasn't already, is when you join the university, you will have exclusive access to our online career centre, mdxworks.com. mdxworks.com is a one-stop shop where you'll be able to access a whole host of resources and materials to help you with identifying routes that relate to your degree, thinking about more employability matters, so writing your CV, writing the cover letter. I know that we've said the CV is dead, but unfortunately you will still need one. So it's those sorts of resources that will help you to apply for opportunities and placements and work experience throughout your degree. So MDXWorks.com is a really great space because whilst we have a number of advisors in our team who are really dedicated to speaking with you on a one-to-one basis and giving that advice and guidance to help you navigate your career, they do have to go to bed, they do have to have a weekend. And as a result, we have this online platform which is available to you at all hours. And if you ever need to just gain some general knowledge around, as I said, it could be writing a cover letter, it could be thinking about an assessment center, it could be how do I actually go about finding a placement? And we'll come on to that. There's guides and content within this platform for all of those things. So I thought I would just flag that. So if you aren't already, do get yourself signed up to mdxworks.com. I'm sure the link will be in the chat very shortly, and you'll be able to register with your university details and have a little explore around the platform at a very early stage of your Middlesex journey. So what is a placement? It's a very good question. I don't really know if I've got the answer, to be honest with you, because a placement is termed so many different things by so many different organizations. But the crux of it, if I was to explain it in a very simple layman's terms, it would be around, it's an opportunity just to get some experience whilst doing your degree. So the options that you will have available aren't, as I say, linear. They're not kind of predetermined in a sense that all placements look the same for every program. Your placement will often depend on the course that you study. Some of our programs here at Middlesex have mandatory placements where you will have an actual part of your program which forms part of work experience, and you'll gain that experience through your degree module. Other programs will have optional choices to do a placement. So some programs may, for example, have this 9 to 12 month sandwich year. So the idea that actually you will go out for a full year in industry, usually between your second and third year, which will make your degree 4 years in length. So you'll immerse yourself in a role for a full year in industry, usually in a paid role, or more than often in a paid role, where you will put to the test some of the competencies and skills that you've learned from your degree, but also gain some real exposure to what it's like to be out there in the working world. Many students who undertake this route will find themselves securing graduate employment quite quickly after university, often within the same organisation that they've completed their placement within, because it really does allow you to expose yourself to industry for a longer period of time. This route is a fantastic option, but sometimes, as I've said, everyone's circumstances are very different. So a 9 to 12 month placement isn't always the right route for you. So other programs will offer more flexible working. So some of those things may be, for example, to do 30 days. So a summer internship where you'll gain smaller amounts of credits and module credits, but actually at the same time, you'll still be able to gain some experience. So for example, you may do 1 day a week alongside your degree program, but in a role which is very relative to what you're studying. So for example, if you're studying a marketing, you may find that there's a digital marketing company who are looking for someone to do a part-time internship for a day a week, and that could form part of your placement module at Middlesex. Certain programs are very specific, as you can see there. In fashion, there is a 6-week compulsory placement that they all complete, usually during London Fashion Week, I believe in February. Media have programs where you have to do 80 hours of experience. Natural sciences, you can see, is 150. Psychology has the 12-month placement. It also has a 24-day placement. They're all quite unique in that sense. But the one thing they all have in common is that they're all invaluable to your future career. Because if you can gain the experience through any one of those things, you're already forming a part of that story to talk to an employer about in the future. As we said, the degree, brilliant, but if you can add an extra component to it by virtue of a placement, you will stand yourself in really good stead when it comes to applying for graduate jobs and even longer term roles in the future. I know people who are still referencing their placement that they did at Middlesex, applying for doctoral study. It's a really, really fantastic part of your experience. So that's what a placement is.
Sorry to interrupt. Just before we move on, we've just had a question come up in the chat from Suma, who's just asking whether you know of anything around the animation and placements for animation, or I guess if not off the top of your head, because I appreciate we're putting you on the spot, who would be their faculty employability advisor that they can contact to kind of find out more information about that?
So is it just animation or 3D animation in games?
Let's see. It just says animation in the chat.
Because
Yeah.
they're all a bit different in terms of the advisors, depending on what you. I'm popping in the chat. I think it's Camille, who is your faculty employability advisor. She would know the exact components of what make up your placement. I want to say that it's very similar to what they have in kind of media. So those smaller term placements. I don't know if you have the year-long option, so it's probably worthwhile reaching out to either Camille or even drop me a line afterwards, and I can get that information for you.
Thank you, Jack. And we just had another question about sports rehabilitation as well. But
sports rehab, I know, is typically hours, so you will have to complete a set amount of hours throughout your degree. So I believe in the second and third year, you'll have hours to complete. Again, you can have a chat with Clemente, our advisor for sports science. He'll know a hell of a lot more. But yeah, I believe that it's hours as opposed to kind of going out for a year in industry.
Great. Thank you so much, Jack.
Okay, I think we've pretty much covered this, but if you wanted a little bit more evidence, this from a survey of a large number of graduate recruiters in the UK, and it's pretty simple. Graduates have had previously no experience are less likely to secure a graduate role, is pretty much what that quote means. So a placement is something to think about for this reason alone. If you are someone who's thinking, well, I would like to get a graduate job quite soon after my degree, there has to be something during the degree to help you to secure the role. Those who have had no experience and expect to go through a quite tough selection process often in some of these organizations, you do need that story to tell. You need to be able to draw on a few experiences beyond just the group project that you did within the module and beyond just the modules that you learn and your college days. If you can do a placement and gain some general work experience throughout the degree, you'll be able to articulate yourself in such a way that the organization think that we've got a driven person on our hands here. We've got someone who genuinely is putting in the hours to ensure that they are employable before they even get to their graduation. And that's why I would certainly always recommend some form of experience during your degree. Some additional kind of points on this and some actual hard tangible value. So some of the things that a placement will do for you in the long term are on the screen, but I'll pick out a few. The CV, obviously, the dead CV is actually able to be enhanced by talking about that industry relevant experience. So it doesn't even have to be the CV. It could be your LinkedIn profile. It could be the video interview that you do in the future. It could be when you're in front of an employer and they say to you, tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience. By completing a work placement, you're going to have some industry relevant knowledge and experience to talk about, which for them already ticks the box that many organizations have just told you by virtue of that quote they are looking for. It's also really important just to learn whilst doing a placement. Some people think they'll go out and do a placement and instantly you have to just enjoy that role because that's the degree subject that you do. So as a result, the placement must be what you want to do in the future. That's not the case. A placement or some work experience during your degree is an opportunity to test drive a career or an industry of choice. You may go out and do a placement and think, actually, you know what, I really did not enjoy any moment of that. And that's not a bad thing. Closing a door sometimes opens another one. So it's really important to think about experiences as learning opportunities, because you may go out and do a placement and love it, but at the same time, you may find that there was elements of the placement that you enjoyed. There are also other parts of it which really weren't for you. So it's an opportunity to learn about the industry, learn about different roles that exist within industries that you were maybe interested in. And then you can come away from the placement, come back into the university, take stock of things and think, okay, so I enjoyed ABC, so where do I go from here? So really important as an opportunity just to generally learn about the positions that are out there. Really equally important is just general commercial understanding and awareness. What you'll find as you move through your degree is employers will often say, we're looking for people with commercial awareness. And what they mean by that is, do you actually understand about the industry and the sector that you want to go and work in? And by doing a placement, you're immersed in it. So instantly you'll gain some understanding from people who have been working in these jobs for many years often, and you can pick the brains of people, you can network with them, you can build contacts. And as a result, when it comes to displaying your commercial awareness in the future, you're very confident talking about the finance sector. You're very confident knowing what's happening as a freelancer, because these are the things that you've been doing whilst out on placement. As I said, to make industry contacts is so important, and placements and work experience are really invaluable for this. It's commonly known that over 60% of job roles are filled and they don't even get advertised. So they never end up on a jobs board, they never end up on an Indeed or a LinkedIn. They just get filled through word of mouth and networking. And it's things like this, where you do a placement and work experience, where you build those contacts. So in the future, when a job opportunity arises, they say, oh, well, we had Paul on placement for 3 weeks during his degree, and we've now got this position. Let's maybe check in with him to see what he's up to. And it's very similar. It's that word of mouth. It's it's not what you know, it's who you know type approach. And by doing the placement and by doing some work experience throughout your degree, you're going to certainly enhance your opportunity when it comes to that industry connection. So I think that's all I will touch on those, but I hope I've sold you the value a little bit there. If you want to do a placement or an internship whilst you're with us, you can kind of formally express your interest to MDX Works. Yeah, you don't have to, because we'll still help you either way. But if you want to gain some regular kind of updates of opportunities, and you want to know exactly what type of ways you can look for placements and gain some resources and some tips and some hints around how you can navigate the process to look for this experience, we have a number of expression of interest forms that you can see on the screen. If you fill in your details there, let us know exactly what you're looking for. What we will do is we will pair you up with your faculty employability advisor, who will share opportunities with you. We'll also share a number of resources with you to help get you started, and you'll be able to book your one-to-one appointments very easily off the back of the advisor sharing information and vacancies with you on an ad hoc basis. So really worthwhile expressing your interest, because you will get lots of rich resource and content back by doing so. And those placement expression of interest forms can be found on mdxworks.com, which I referenced earlier. Note on internships. Yeah, this is a question that comes up very often. So what's the difference between a placement and an internship? Should I do a placement or an internship? Which one's better? There's no right or wrong answer in relation to which one's better. As I said, it's whichever one fits your story and your experience and your kind of life. That's the most important thing in relation to gaining that experience. But in a nutshell, an internship would usually be considered a shorter term experience. So you will often see some internships advertised and they'll be 12 months in length, but actually more often than not, an internship for us would be considered something shorter than that 12-month placement, which would often be more of a year-long experience. But there's no kind of one size fits all. So don't get too caught up in the terms of internship, placement, work experience week, whatever it may be. Just think that's valuable. And I just need to know how long it is in relation to my own kind of story and my own actual experience whilst I'm here at the university. So have a think about what's more suitable based on your own experiences and what you'll be looking for and what time you'll be able to allocate to this type of thing whilst you're at university. Some of you will be working part-time, so the practicality of doing a full-time internship is just not possible. So there is an opportunity to think outside the box and say, okay, well, is there a part-time internship that I can do? Is there a part-time placement that I can do? And those things are possible. It's just about knowing how to navigate and how to approach employers to apply for those sorts of opportunities, because they're not always advertised as such. Volunteering. I'm a huge advocate of volunteering. I know it's not always the nice term, because instantly people think volunteering, that's me in a charity shop, steam pressing some clothes, selling some old gear, and I don't want to do that for free, because that's just not what's going to help me long term. But volunteering is so much more than that. If you are looking to develop general employability skills, gain a really good reference, gain an understanding of the world of work, and if you want to do it for a cause that matters to you, volunteering is the number one thing to start with, because it shows an employer instantly that you aren't just solely financially driven, and you are able to kind of give up your own time to support a cause that matters. You are someone who's willing to kind of get stuck in and do a bit of dirty work before the future rewards that come from it. And more generally, you're someone who just wants to gain experience, and you've decided that this was the way that you could do it in a way that fits around your lifestyle. So volunteering is really useful. And as I said, it's not just your classic charity shops work. There's so much more to volunteering. For example, when I finished my degree a long time ago, I went and volunteered for a community development charity, which was all around regenerating the local community areas and spaces. And I did that for 3-4 months. And off the back of that volunteering, I was offered a job. Before that, I had no experience because I was very lazy at university. So don't be like me. And as a result, really struggled to find graduate employment. But I did some volunteering straight after my degree, and that obviously helped longer term. So if you're thinking about your own prospects, volunteering whilst at university will open up doors for you. And a really good example of this is, for example, if you volunteered in your first year, often that opens up a door to apply for an internship and a placement in your second year, and so on. And the placement and the internship open up the graduate job route. It's a little bit of a pathway there. It's not always, but it's a way that you can start thinking about, okay, if I want to start to test drive some of these routes, here's maybe an option that you've got available to you. And really great website there, Charity Jobs, lists all of the charities out there who are just in desperate need of help. Could be a finance assistant, could be a marketing assistant, could be a social media intern, could be someone to come and run health promotion classes. So much scope on Charity Job. So have a little look, because there may be something there where you think, actually, I can do an afternoon a week, I could do a day a week, and that starts to build up on your CV over a number of years sometimes. We also have uni temps at the university. So if you are looking just to generally gain some experience, part-time, flexible, around your degree studies, uni temps is our fantastic resource that we house within MDX Works. It is responsible for recruiting all of the jobs on campus that are part-time and temporary, which run alongside your studies. So if you're looking to become a student ambassador, where you might go out to schools and talk about Middlesex, or where you might join us at some of our careers events and help out in terms of the logistics and the planning. If you want to be a student learning assistant, where you're helping peers in younger year groups. If you just generally want to be an events assistant, and so many other roles within, for example, actual departments within the university, so like research assistant roles, marketing, IT, all of those opportunities we actually have for uni temps. So if you sign up to uni temps when you first arrive, what you'll be able to do is see the vacancies that come up, apply for them. And uni temps is one of those things where people think, oh, it's just a part-time job, it's nothing special. But actually, some of those roles hold a hell of a lot of responsibility. And again, they're giving you that type of experience where it comes to saying, I didn't just do my degree, I did my degree, I was a student ambassador, I did some work on some events, I volunteered, and also I did a two-week internship. Instantly, even though that may not be the 12-month placement that I spoke about, that's a real story to tell. So do get involved with uni temps, because there's a lot of opportunity there for you. They also pay the London living wage, as a little bit of a plug there, which I believe is £10.85 an hour now. So it's a pretty handsome salary for, first, second, third year of university. We will also be looking to launch uni temps into the local community within the next kind of few years. So that will give you an opportunity to go and work out for some of our partner companies, some charities, etc., but get paid through uni temps. So that's a watch this space type option. We also run the Students' Unions Community Placement Scheme for uni temps. So these are roles which, again, are kind of often working with charities in the local sector. But again, they're paid roles as opposed to volunteering. So I know for some of you that volunteering might not be an option. So uni temps is a really great alternative if that's something that you would necessarily need. As I mentioned, MDXSU, get involved with the MDXSU. I mean, I was, again, someone who probably would have turned my nose up at this and thought, I don't want to get involved with the SU, it's not for me. But actually, they do a lot more than just societies and clubs and games and that sort of stuff. It's opportunity to get some part-time work with the actual Students' Union itself. So they run community placements. If they've got a society that you're not interested in, you think, well, actually, I could start one. Being a president or a finance officer or a marketing assistant for a society is equally a story to tell than it would be if you went and did, some volunteering work. And people sometimes undervalue just how important it is to get involved in things like the MDXSU, because you could find some relevant experience which could propel you to, a job interview or a future role. So do think about, what are you actually interested in? Because if you've got an interest in a certain industry or profession, you might think, well, I'll have a look at their societies that exist. But if it doesn't exist already, it's an opportunity for you and some peers to discuss, well, can we potentially create something here, provide ourselves with some experience, and then take that forward into the next opportunity. Very briefly mentioned LinkedIn, but again, I will just say, whatever you do whilst you're at university, make sure you create that LinkedIn profile. The CV is dead in comparison to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an absolutely fantastic space for you to find actual opportunities. So placements will be advertised on LinkedIn, work experience, internships. And this is a way for you to actually get your story out there in a little bit more of a, I suppose, physical and a little bit more of a tangible manner than what your CV can do, because you'll be able to connect with people in industry, you'll be able to learn about opportunities that are out there. So come and see us, is what I'll say on this one. Come and see us and let us sell you the value of LinkedIn and help you to create that profile. What else? Well, the only thing I would say on this slide is think about opportunities that are beyond the traditional. So often we always think, okay, so I need to go and do a placement, so I need to apply for it and go and sit in an office somewhere, and it's going to be really difficult to navigate that process because I have to go through a long drawn out thing where I have to send my CV, then I've got to interview and blah, 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 I've got to do all this. But actually times have changed in the last kind of 18 months, as you probably noticed. And actually a lot more people are doing what I'm doing, and we're sitting in a room somewhere from home, and we're still able to do our jobs just in the same way as we were 18 months ago. And what that's opened up is opportunity, because there's now the chance to do virtual experience for organizations, which actually is a little bit less daunting for an organization than bringing students in for longer term. So if you just wanted to get a look behind the scenes at what certain roles do, by creating contacts, networking, being quite bold and speculatively approaching organizations, you might be able to land yourself a week's virtual work experience. There's some really good programs now which do this, and one with Bright Network, to reference one at the top of my head. So you actually can spend a week just thinking, right, well, this is what I'd be doing if I was working as a animation assistant. And it's a really great way of thinking about more flexible opportunity. We're not so confined now by space. So as a result, do approach organizations throughout your degree. Don't be shy to, that charity who are potentially looking for somebody, don't be shy to contact them and say, I'd love to come and just come in for a week and see what you do, whether that be online or in person. All these activities that I'm talking about just will help you build those skills and demonstrate to an employer that actually I'm tenacious, I'm proactive, I'm resilient, and I'm actually going to be ready to secure that graduate job way before my degree finishes, because my mindset is just so there. And gaining experience is just one of those ways you can do that. There's other things you can get involved with through MDX Works, as Alan referenced. Some of the programs that we offer are fantastic. But I think still the number one thing that employers will be looking for is experience. And it comes in many forms. And today we've just kind of glossed over a number of them. But what I would kind of say to you all now is come and see us and tell us exactly what are you thinking about in terms of this. So I've given you a few options, a few routes. Come and sit down with an advisor in September, October time and say, okay, I've done a little bit of research around volunteering and internships, and this is my plan. This is what I'd like to do. Help me. And as a result, we'll give you the advice, the tools to go out there and try some of these things out, because as Alan said, we're genuinely dedicated to making sure that everyone has the tools to build that story, because it's so important that you have that story to tell. This one you can have a little look at in your own time. Just wanted to talk about this final slide around if you're an international student. So as you'll know, sometimes things are a little bit different for international students in terms of what finding work experience and placements. There may be visa restrictions, there may be things that you have to think about. I've put a web link here which will help you to kind of address some of those questions when it comes to working during your studies. For example, if you're on a tier 4 visa, then you're restricted to working a set number of hours during your work experience or during your part-time job. So it's really important that you know those things before you start searching. And we've actually recently launched a page to support international students finding work on mdxworks.com. So again, I would say the ask is pretty simple. Have a look at some of the resources, come and see us, tell us your own circumstances, because they'll always be unique and we can help you find the right opportunity for you. Final tips on this: if you do apply for any placements, absolutely make sure you get in touch with MDXWorks, because we can help you to apply. We can review your application documents, we'll review your CV, we can do a mock interview with you before you head off to that interview itself. Always keep up to date with what we're doing as as a service. So in November, this year, we have Gradstock. So Gradstock brings a huge number of employers to campus, but probably online again this year, where they'll be offering graduate roles, part-time work, internships, placements, a whole host of things. So it's a way for you to meet employers, do some networking, learn what's out there, and off the back of that, often apply for opportunities. So a date for your diary will be the week commencing the 1st of November, where we'll have a whole week's worth of employability and career sessions from employers. So do keep up to date with what we're doing by looking on our events page. The main thing, though, I would say, and I think it's really important, because we have had a really turbulent kind of 18-month period, and it is that around the well-being side of things. Just because we're saying you need to get some experience, it's absolutely integral to your future. Don't put it in place of something which is more important, which is your actual general well-being. Make sure the opportunity that you're looking for fits in with who you are, your life, your own personal circumstances, because you don't always have to go and do the biggest and the most intense placement. Think about things which sometimes are more manageable, little pockets of experience throughout the degree. And it's those sorts of things which are equally valuable. So always think about what's right for you, and always think about actually how that's going to impact your own studies and your own actual commitments, what you're doing here at Middlesex, which is obviously your degree. Stay positive. That's the main thing. The really, really important. I guarantee everyone on this call may have some form of rejection when it comes to applying for a placement or an internship or a part-time job over the next 3 or 4 years. But how you respond to that will dictate the next steps. And they want to see tenacity, they want to see resilience, someone with a bit of grit. And I think by working with us as a service, we can teach you how to actually articulate and navigate the application process. So when it comes to a rejection here or there, you'll know what to do next. It won't just be a case of sitting back and thinking, oh, well, I won't bother. You'll know how to respond. So yeah, come and get in touch with us. It's been a real pleasure to speak with everyone. It's been a real quick tour through what we do in terms of placement and work experience. Happy to take a couple of quick questions before I shoot off. But yeah, hope it's been useful, and you now know a little bit more around finding work experience and placements. Thank you.